Just another brother with another humble question. Just another brother with another humble question.
Welcome to another episode of A Brother with Questions. I am your host, B. Period. Appreciate you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you listening. Let's dive in, man. We're going to dive in. We're going to talk just a little bit, real quick. We're going to talk about good times. So for those that don't know, I don't know, everybody may not know this, but for those that don't know, Netflix has just released an animated version of the old school television show Good Time. So for those that haven't seen the original was about a black family growing up in Cabrini Green in Chicago. And it was just about the family and the experiences that the family went through as they were trying to get through life. And so that was the original show, set in, I believe it was about the 70s, 80s, something in there. And so now they've got this updated version on Netflix. This updated version is produced by one of the producers is the original production company, which is Norman Lear. And then you have Steph Curry's has a production company that participated as well. And then Seth MacFarlane also has a production company that's participated. And so when you look at it, you can tell that the Seth MacFarlane influence is heavy. For those that don't know, Seth MacFarlane is the guy who created Ted, the movie Ted, and the television series. Now he's got Family Guy. He had the Cleveland Show, right? These are all his things. So here we go. We got Good Times. We talked about the trailer a couple of weeks ago because the trailer was wild. Now the whole series is out, or the whole first season is out, and it's just as wild as the trailer. My thoughts on this are, this is one of those things that I don't think we needed. And I tell you why. Number one, they're not breaking ground on the series, right? Because all they're doing every episode is basically playing on some stereotype that you have about black people in the ghetto. And of course, because it's animation, we're taking that stereotype and then we're doubling down on it by 10. And so now it's just becoming a caricature of itself. I wouldn't even call it sarcasm. I would just call it a caricature because it ain't real. And it's clearly that they're not trying to be real, which takes away from the original story, because the original story was trying to tell the struggle of a black family in Cabrini Green at the time, so that you can see that these aren't just that they're just people like everybody else. These are not, I mean, obviously these imaginary characters are people, but the caricature, I mean, let's just start with, and I talked about this in my video when I watched the trailer, the baby. So in the series, we have a drug dealing baby. And so in the trailer, they suggested he was a drug dealing baby. But now that you see the series, like, no, for real, the whole character is a drug dealing baby. So in the show, the father has kicked the baby out because he's a drug dealing baby. So you can't stay at my house selling drugs. But they would make you believe like he's actually selling drugs, like he the big man in the hood. Like he the guy. He's got, they got him having way more money than the dad, to the point where they're suggesting that the dad should probably borrow money from him because the dad can't make enough driving taxis in the city. And so when the family's having problems, they're suggesting, go see your baby, man. The baby got the money. And then the baby character has, I don't even know if you want to call this lady a nanny, but he has, because he's a baby, so he's not in the street by himself. They got him attached to, well, I'll just call her nanny, who has bottles on her. She has him in a strap on her chest like they do babies, and then she has bottles attached to the strap just in case he need a bottle as he conducts business on the side of the street. So a caricature. In another episode, The daughter has her first period, and literally she is bleeding all over the place because the sanitary napkin that her mother decided to give her is not holding the blood, so she's bleeding everywhere. And then we go through this whole montage about accepting her womanhood, where at some point we see her accepting it by um, basically growing a body and then twerking on a pole, because that's what real women do, I guess, is the point. And then after this montage experience about accepting the fact of her womanhood, she comes back to she basically passes out in the montage. And so when she wakes up from the montage, she now accepts it, and now she's walking around the school taking the blood and throwing it at people when they laugh at the fact that she's clearly bleeding, that you can see her bleeding. And so now she's throwing her period blood at her bullies, and throwing her blood everywhere to wholly embrace her womanhood. And it's just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what is this? So you got the black stereotypes in the montage. You got the storyline that men, or the patriarchy, is trying to take women's rights away, as she's accepting her. It's just, I don't, I just, good times at the moment, at that time, meant something to people. It was kind of like the Cosby Show at the moment, right? It was the Cosby Show before the Cosby Show. And now you've taken this concept and you just completely bastard made it a bastard of the original. To me, if you wanted to make this show, then you should just have made that show. But you clearly wanted to attach it to something that people love, in an effort to get them to jump on board with you. Because you knew if it existed by itself, they would probably have a lot of criticism. But because you attached it to a beloved thing, you figured you could get away with it. To me, if you really wanted to make this show, you should have just made the show. And you could have made it as about the patriarchy. You could have made it about you trying to be satirical and make caricatures of black people in the ghetto. But the fact that you attach good times to it, I think, is where you messed up. And it goes back to one of those things about having people in the room, right? So, Steph Curry, you were in the room. Your production company was in the room. Y'all didn't see these episodes and go, I don't think they're going to rock with this one. We're going to have to do this different. And if you did, and clearly you saw them and you signed off on in some way, shape, or form. So now people are looking at you, or they will be, like, this dude. We got to demand better. And I'm all for black writers, black television, and all of the characters being voiced by black actors. I'm all for that. But this ain't it. Y'all got to do better. And we should demand better. And on that note, I'm B. Period, and I'm out.